From 88 Films comes a new to me Yuen Biao film entitled ROSA from 1986. This is a Blu-ray. This is region A and B, so in Europe this will play, and in the Americas this will play. And it is a film that is sort of a goofy action buddy cop comedy that is, like I say, new to me, but we'll get into it. I'll tell you the basic specs. It is 97 minutes. It's a Blu-ray, as I already said. It is directed by Cheung. It stars Yuen Biao, Lowell, Hsiao-Fen, Kara Ying, who is in The Lady is the Boss and Inspector Wears Skirts Too, which have also been released on Blu-ray relatively recently. Dick Wei and James Tien, who you'd recognize from innumerable Hong Kong action and martial arts movies of this and previous eras. Presented in Cantonese 2.0 with 2.0 mono with English subtitles, or English 2.0 mono dub, and it was a Golden Harvest film produced by Sammo Hung and co-written by Wong Kar-wai. Now, if you know Wong Kar-wai for things like In the Mood for Love and Chungking Express and the incredibly artistic films he made later in his career, you would be very surprised to know that he made this film, because this film is not artistic. This film is pretty goofy. This is a pretty, I don't want to say low end, but this is a pretty for the masses kind of movie, which is not what Wong Kar-wai has become known for. Basic story, it goes a little something like this. Biao and Lo play reluctant buddy cop. They're not really buddies for most of the movie. Reluctant partners who are assigned to protect the model girlfriend. I say that separately as though she's the model girlfriend. She is a model and a girlfriend of a witness to a mob murder, hoping that she will lead them to this witness so that they can help put the bad guys away. That's the basic plot. And Lo's sister is also in the mix, portrayed by Ying, and she's the object of Biu's affection. And despite Lo's protestations, "You leave my sister alone," Lo, it happens to be sweet on the mob boss's girlfriend. So there's multiple attempted romantic connections throughout this thing, and a lot of Three's Company-esque hijinks, and it pads out the runtime between the action sequences. There are two, basically this was essentially a follow-up to a movie called Pom Pom that was a big buddy cop hit in Hong Kong a year or two earlier. It's a lot of the same production people made this, but it's not the same cast, it's not the same characters. It's just trying to recreate what was a big buddy cop hit with another buddy cop hit. There are two really strong fight scene melees in the film, though the first one is almost like an hour into it. So this really is more of a comedy with little bits of business, little bits of stunts and things like that, but not boom 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 like you expect from some Hong Kong movies. It's very this first melee, about an hour in, it's very funny, it's very frenetic, it is expertly choreographed. It takes place in a loan shark's office where our heroes are basically fighting off all kinds of bad guys who have been gathered together for some big meeting of like the mob bosses. They each have their own kung fu style, so some of it certainly spoofs old kung fu movies. This, I should point out too, this is set in the modern day. This is set in 1986 contemporary Hong Kong, but once in a while you get people who bust out the old snake and crane outs of Shaolin in these movies, and it's a little nod to the films that really made Hong Kong action movies what they were before predominantly they moved into the modern era at that point. It's that first fight scene is excellent, and then there's one toward the end where all four of our quirky quartet, the ladies and the gentlemen, go up against the James Tien's goons in the best possible location in one of these films. That's right, a warehouse. There's railings, there's boxes, there's levels, there's windows. It's fantastic. And it is what I call the dependable Hong Kong, 80s or 90s Hong Kong movie last 10 minutes. If it's an action movie, they almost always had what Dave Friedman would call a square up reel, in that no matter what the movie was up to that point, the last 10 or 15 minutes would just blow you away, and you would leave the theater just like dazed and confused and all shook up in the best way possible. So during that warehouse sequence, Biu and Ying really shine. Like, they're really good. You can see that there's some doubling in for her, especially where there's a wide shot, and yeah, it's a guy in a wig, but for the most part, she's doing a lot of the stuff that you see. That was one of the great things about the Hong Kong movies, is they would get people who weren't necessarily always action people, but they would train them to be able to do what they needed to do for the film. Or they would be people who came up from like Shaw Brothers, where there was a part of working there and being a contract player was going to a school where they taught you all fight choreography and dance and acrobatics and stuff, much like Sammo Hung, Jackie Chan, and Yuen Biao were in their Peking Opera School as kids. So they could basically apply that to almost anything. So if they need to be dancers in a film, they've got that. If they need to be acrobatic, they've got that going on. If they need to do crazy fight sequences, they've got the athleticism and flexibility to do that. So that last fight scene is really fun. The other two are no slouches. The other two characters in this quartet of love and hijinks are they're no slouches either, but Biao and Yang are just like, wow. I didn't love the film. It was pleasant enough to go through. You have to know Hong Kong comedy, especially in the 80s and 90s, could be extremely like goofy and juvenile and bug-eyed and rubber-faced and all that kind of stuff, and making jokes that nobody would make anymore, making jokes that a lot of people weren't making back then. So you have to sort of be understanding that that's what you're going to get with this, but the action in it is very good. And those two fight scenes are pretty much worth the price of admission. Like if you're watching this up to that first hour and you're like, there's not a lot of action in this, just wait. There will be, and it will be phenomenal. So let's see. I have notes just off screen, and it interrupts my flow. It is a little uneven as an action film, as I was saying. The leads are all funny and pleasant to watch, but if you're looking at this as an action movie, be prepared more for like a romantic comedy with action elements, as opposed to an action movie with romantic comedy elements. Those two sequences really do show off what these people can do, though, to a great degree. There is one scene where Lowell is in blackface pretending to be an African-American mobster from the United States. And that's just not the kind of thing you'd see these days. That was the kind of thing you did see in Hong Kong movies, maybe longer than you would expect for them to do something like that. But just so you know going in, or probably I shouldn't have told you, it's such a wonderful surprise when that pops up. Extras include a commentary by Hong Kong cinema experts Frank Zheng and F.J. DeSanto. They're always great. I always say this every time I do one of these, but Frank grew up in Hong Kong, knows most of the people involved in these films, knows their histories, was a rabid film fan at that time, and then went on to run Tai Seng Video in the US. So he can look at these people and give you, here's their history, here's what they did after this, here's where it fits in their overall body of work, down to locations. He's like, oh yeah, this pier is where the ferry used to come back and forth and blah, blah, blah. So you get like in-depth histories of the actors, the genre, the films that this film is related to, as well as Hong Kong culture at that time and where it has gone since then. So it's always fantastic when he's available. You get a commentary by Hong Kong cinema expert David West. You get an interview with Joe Cheung and Benz Kong, director and assistant director of the film. It's 23 minutes long. You get the English opening and closing titles. The opening titles are a minute, the closing titles are 2. It's basically the same imagery. It's just it's in English as opposed to Chinese characters. And then you get a 2-minute image gallery that's set to theme, the end theme of the movie, and a 4.5-minute trailer. I got to show you the packaging on this because 88 always does a great job, but once in a while they kind of go above and beyond in the packaging. And I don't know how they decide what to do that for, because to me this is like a B or a C tier Hong Kong action film of the era compared to just how astounding a lot of it was. Still entertaining. But so you get a slipcase, which slips off to feature a nice, a nice hard case matte finish of that artwork that wraps around with the newly commissioned artwork and original poster art for that. And then let's see if I can get it all out here. It comes with a nice little card image of the poster of the period and another version of the poster. It comes with a book that is substantial, that has a couple of articles in it and a lot of scans from the film and stills. It features ROSA and the Rhythm of 80s Hong Kong Cinema by Fraser Elliott, and Longing for the Shaw Brothers, Reaping the Golden Harvest, a look at how Rosa and the Crossroads of Yuen Biao and Kara Hui's careers by Paul Bramhall. So that's all really cool. Oh yeah, and then you get a disc. Comes in a clear case. Crack it open, and you get newly commissioned artwork on this side, vintage artwork on that side. It's a phenomenal release. I can't imagine ROSA has ever gotten a better release than this, and I really can't imagine ROSA is going to get a better release than this unless somebody upgrades it to 4K at some point. So transfer looks great too, by the way. I grew up into my love of Hong Kong films from probably just before I went to college through past that, finding these things as bootlegs, getting illicit VHS copies of Laserdiscs that you couldn't find anywhere here, buying Hong Kong VCDs and DVDs, and the transfers always made the movies look instantly old. It's fantastic to see these things looking better than they've ever looked on home video, and I thank 88 Films profusely, as somebody once incorrectly said, for that. So that is ROSA, available on Blu-ray from 88 Films.